Well, I'll
Yeah,
say that
well,
our chapter has
sorry.
grown maybe tenfold since Charlie's death. And a lot of these people are stepping forward and they're saying, I've always been a conservative. I have these conservative values, but I'm a Christian. I really want to dive deeper into my faith.
Mhm.
And I want to put that in the scene with politics at the same time. And I think that's really inspirational to see so many people stepping forward and having that courage to do so. Because, like we talk about, there are boundaries and there are hurdles, I should say, with being on a campus and trying to fit in and trying not to upset the people around you, and then still being a Christian and standing out and standing up for your faith and your values. So that's what we've seen here at the University of Tennessee specifically.
Yeah, and here at Millersville, I would say Theo and Emma are my superiors in this situation. I'm the baby of the group. I'm a freshman here. I just started a brand new chapter. Millersville was not ready for this. They've never seen any, conservative action taken on this campus. And many of the students here mock the death of Charlie Kirk. They mock him and his life. It's disgusting. But the people that do support his mission and would consider themselves more conservative in their ways of life, they've been very supportive to the starting of this new chapter. We have about 100 members who want to join. We have about a 7,000 student body. So with 100, we have close to 200 followers on our Instagram, and we just made it. And so 100 plus people of interest is pretty good for just starting about 2 weeks ago.
If folks at Turning Point, Erica Kirk and the other leaders there asked you, where should our focus be? We do, they do so much stuff. Charlie had so much going on. How would you define what you'd like to see the mission of Turning Point be, particularly for college students who want to have active chapters?
I think the clinging to our faith, like Charlie, he said that's what he wanted to be remembered for, and that is what he is being remembered for more than anything is his faith. And that's, again, like with my chapter, that's what I've seen in my chapter is a lot of these people from the church that, they were told, keep your faith and politics separate. And they're like, you know what, this is enough. Like these politics of our nation have infringed on people's faith at this point, and they're sick of it. And they're standing up for their faith and what they believe in. And they're not going to sit back and be quiet while a nation convinces them, oh, well, you just need to leave it out of politics while they trample all over your faith. And we've seen a lot of people come because they've decided, you know what, my faith is very intertwined with politics, and they're not afraid to now stand up for their faith in a political manner. We've seen a lot of it, unfortunately, from pastors that have said, oh, well, we don't do politics. We just preach the gospel. And it's like the gospel is very intertwined in modern politics. They won't stand up for the unborn. They won't stand up to this idea of, you're not created perfectly, that you were born in the wrong body. They won't stand up to these sick ideas. And, kids are finally coming out and saying, you know what, we're done with that. And I think we're looking for pastors that are willing to do that. My pastor has done a great job at that and is not afraid to stand up to the immorality of society just because they tell him to leave his faith separate from politics. And that's something I've taken a great liking to my pastor personally because he will stand up for the unborn. He will call out this crazy idea with all this gender ideology. And that's what we're looking for. And I think Turning Point was one of the main places that started to intertwine those two. And that's what kids are looking for.
1000%. And I think Turning Point's main focus right now, I agree, should be with you, Theo, intertwining the aspect of faith with politics, because we're not trying to shove Christianity down anyone's throat. But again, it's so intertwined with our Constitution and the foundations of our country. I mean, look at any coin, you'll see God on the coin. Look at the Constitution in life, liberty, and happiness endowed by our Creator, Jesus. So I think a big focus of Turning Point right now should be increasing national patriotism and national pride in the American values that our country was founded on, which is Christianity. And no one has to be Christian, but just increasing that patriotism could save the country from the situation it's in right now. If you look at Dearborn, Michigan, I urge you to go search up what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan right now. It's terrifying and it's unacceptable. And I think the Constitution allows for freedom and practice of religion under the First Amendment free exercise clause. However, That does not mean that the Christians that practice Christianity, the faith that this country was founded on, should have to endure a complete takeover of another religion from the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Well, and if we don't
Absolutely.
establish our faith in some way, we have no morality to stand on as a society. A society cannot stand without any basis of morality. And that's what we've seen. You wipe faith completely out of it and we say, we're going to be completely secular. That's what the left wants. There's no basis of morality. We have all these people that are pushing moral relativity, and that's going to be the downfall of our society. There is a moral absolute, and we must stand up for that moral absolute, regardless of the hate it brings us, because people don't want to be told what's right and wrong. They just want to be, in their own little bubble, and I can do whatever I want. But we do need to stand up for what is moral and what is good. And without that, our society will crumble.
I think a lot about, it's only been a little over 3 weeks since Charlie was assassinated. I think a lot about what he would think about what's happened, about the memorial service in Scottsdale, about the starting of so many new chapters. Emma, if Charlie were back and hadn't seen the last 3 weeks and said to you, Emma, tell me the story of what's happened since my assassination. Tell us that story, and the other two, you chime in to fill in the story. What's happened in the last 3 weeks that Charlie, you think, would be interested in?
Well, I think I'd tell him that his vision has been fulfilled. I was lucky enough to be able to attend the memorial service in Glendale, Arizona, just a couple weeks ago. And they had showed on the screen that Charlie had made a comment in a group chat about his vision for what he would want Turning Point to look like one day. And it was an arena, it was a stadium filled with people. And that's exactly what happened on that Sunday for Charlie. And that was an amazing experience. There was so much love, and we really all felt Jesus in the room with us, the Holy Spirit in the room with us at that moment. But I think he would be so proud, to see that so many people have turned and come to the Lord just from after his death. We all witnessed that awful, awful assassination. And there's really only one thing you can do when you see something so graphic, and that's just pray. And I think a lot of people who hadn't ever prayed, or maybe not prayed in years, came to the Lord and said, save us. This is horrendous. And I think that would make him happier than anything in the world. I think also the strength Erica, his wife, has through the Lord would make him proud. And I think he would be happy to see everything how it's unfolded since his passing.
1000%. I think I'm not even going to say anything further. You just summed it up. He would give all glory to God, and he would be so happy that Erica forgave the man who took his life.
If you think about the future of Turning Point, of the conservative movement, of MAGA, who do you see now as leaders in the absence of Charlie Kirk? Who do you see as leaders, whether they're politicians or hosts of shows or activists? Who would you name as someone who can help, besides Erica Kirk, who can help carry on the mantle? I
see Candace Owens. I see Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Kellyanne Conway, JD Vance, Usha Vance, the Trump family. They're all going to be key players in the coming years.
Good list. Who else would you all add to that? Go ahead.
I think that's an easy question. I think it's me. I think it's you. I think it's everyone here. I think it's everyone within the conservative movement. All these people Charlie had educated while he was here, all these people that Charlie had inspired are now standing up and saying, well, we have to carry the torch onward. And I think that there are tens of thousands of people that are ready to do that with the strength from the Lord. And I know personally at my school, I have taken an even greater responsibility in my leadership with my chapter now having over 200 regular members. That is a responsibility, but I'm honored to be in that position, and it's really going to show that we have the power. We might not have the platform that Charlie had, we may not have the microphone, but even if we're able to reach one person with our message and with our faith, that's what really matters.
I think that's very well said. Yeah, like Charlie talked about the fact that this was a bottom-up revolution. This was not top-down. And that's what's so cool about what Charlie did. There are these speakers, we're wondering kind of who's going to take the place, who's going to be the big names at the events. But at the end of the day, this truly has been a bottom-up revolution. And it is just the people being willing to stand up and fight for what they believe in, fight for, morality, for conservative values, for our Constitution, for our faith. And it's awesome to see that it really has become that thing where, Charlie has inspired enough people that the people are going to be the ones to really carry this thing on, regardless of who's speaking. I think that's not the most important part at this point. I do think that it really is the people he's inspired and the people that want to be involved, and they're going to do it, and they're going to carry the torch.
Going to go around, ask you all, if you were to compare Charlie Kirk as a person and his historical importance to one other person in human history, who would you compare him to? I'll give you a moment to think about it. One person in terms of what he was like and the impact you think he'll have on history. Emma, start with you.
I think the first person a lot of us thought of is MLK, just with, the similarities in their voices and being, generally normal people in the community and within their movement, and being able to lead so many people. There are clear differences, but I think that was the first person that I had sort of associated him with. He's a martyr now, just as MLK is.
Okay, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to say John F. Kennedy. I think Kennedy was the people's president. He was a family man. He was a man of God, similar to MLK and Charlie. No matter what values a historical figure has, what defines them is the support that they gain from their constituents or their constituency and the influence that they have. And he was one of America's most influential men, probably one of the most influential men in the world. Some great accomplishments in the Kennedy administration. And again, his life, just like Charlie and MLK, was taken from him in a cowardly and evil manner. So I would compare Charlie to John F. Kennedy.
Okay, great. Two great names. Theo, do you have a third one, Dad?
They took some great names, but I think think I'll go a different route because, the political side for sure. But I think the next best is Billy Graham. I think as far as the revival that Charlie has led in this nation, like that is his legacy now, is a revival. And I don't think he would have wanted it any other way. Charlie has truly led a revival in this country, in a country that is seeking to honor God and to do what is right and to stand up for our values and to stand up for this nation, because this nation has honored God. And I think that revival that he has sparked is similar to Billy Graham, and that's who I would have to go with.
One last question. I'm so impressed by how articulate and thoughtful you all are, but also by how strong you are. You've brought to this conversation so much optimism and forward thinking and hope for the future on your campuses, for the country, for the movement that you're part of. Where does that come from? Why aren't you bitter? Why aren't you angry?
I think I can attest to, for all of us as Christians, I think it's obviously not easy to do, but just as Erica forgave that man, we have to as well. I think God has put it in our hearts as Americans to mourn Charlie, but we gotta quickly pick up that microphone and make the moves that he was on his way to make. We gotta carry the torch that he lit. I think the anger and the sadness is inevitable, but again, anger and sadness come from the devil. So Charlie and Jesus would want us to prevail.
I think
Absolutely.
For me, Jesus was beaten and nailed to a cross for us. And I think the least we could do to repay that back to honoring God, standing up for our beliefs, is just to speak our mind. Don't be silent. Like, we're never going to go through anything like he had to go through for us. And he paid the ultimate price for all of us. And I think that's where, the worst thing, Charlie said it, the worst thing that can happen to a Christian is that he's delivered home to Christ. And so I think we have a lot of confidence in our God, and that we know that regardless of what happens to us, we can only be better off, and that, Jesus paid the ultimate price, and the least we can do is stand up for God, stand up for morality, stand up for our beliefs, and stand up for this country. Let's fight to make this country, a great country again, and a country that truly does aspire to honor God and to be a moral society that is a leader of the world and is a beacon of light for the whole world, which is what we have been. And none of us want to see that go. And we're going to stand up and fight for that.
Absolutely.
Emma,
Yeah,
where
they
does your
just put it
strength come?
perfectly.
Yeah.
They put it perfectly. I also think that, we are the side that are receiving the death threats. We're the side that's being attacked physically and both, verbally. That proves to me that we're on the right side and we're doing the right thing. And even, back since high school, when I faced all of that opposition and all of that slander, I think that I realized I had a better head on my shoulders than the rest of the people that were attacking me, because I was willing to have those conversations. I wanted to have those conversations with people who wanted to hide behind a screen. And so that was really what kept me going throughout the past 4.5 years. Also, having a community of people after attending over 10 Turning Point conferences and meeting people from all across the nation, I think that also showed me that I was not alone in this movement. I wasn't the only person that was receiving backlash and hate. And that really inspired me to keep going and driving forward.
I think
Emma
the thing
Hart.
about
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
knowing
go ahead.
which side, which side we truly stand on, like you talk about politics and you're ostracized a little bit. You bring God into politics and people really get mad. And I think
Yeah.
if you want to know where you stand and if you're standing with God, which side looks different from the world? And the more you lean into conservatism and your faith, the more ostracized you are from the world. There's these people that want to be these leftist Christians. And it's like, well, you blend in with the world. The world, welcomes your Jesus. That's not the Jesus that we know. Our Jesus was killed for what he believed in.
Beautiful.
And so I think that gives you like a clear view of like, I am not just guessing that this is right. It really shows us, that we are on the right side of this thing and that we are truly standing up for what is good, what is moral, what is just.
Hey, everybody, if you're 64 years old or older, this is an important announcement. The Department of Justice recently sued 3 major Medicare brokers for claiming they were unbiased while allegedly pushing people into plans that got them the biggest kickbacks. It's true, so many insurance agents, they just can't be trusted, but you can't necessarily rely on government resources either. So what to do? Well, I want you to know about Chapter. Chapter was started by people who went through this exact thing personally after their own parents were pushed into the wrong Medicare plan by an agent who was more focused on commissions than on good care. Chapter's mission is very simple: give every American the honest, straightforward Medicare advice they deserve. And here's what's different about them. They're the only Medicare advisor that compares every plan nationwide, not just a handful. That saves their clients, get this, an average of $1,100 every year. There's no reason not to call. It's quick, it's easy, and they can review your options in under 20 minutes. If you're already in the right plan, they'll let you know that. But if they see a better plan, they'll help you make the switch. This could be the most important call you make this year. Dial right now, pound 250, and say Chapter Medicare to get that peace of mind. Again, that's pound 250 and say Chapter Medicare.